back with an all new show. Look, Damage Boo, I just got back from vacation and I know I need a vacation from the vacation. I
Oh,
realized something while I was in Aruba. I'm doing way too much unnecessary travel.
you just realized that about a year in?
Yeah. I think I was trying to make up for all the time that COVID took away from me. You know, a lot of people have been at home for almost 2 years now and who are just afraid to get on planes and travel. But I've been trying to get out and just I don't know, rejuvenate. I guess that's the right word. But after this last trip, you know, Paris was traumatizing. This last trip was traumatizing. I'm over it. And although I'm gonna still have to travel for work, I think the unnecessary travel is pretty much a wrap for me.
Wait,
What
why was it
now?
traumatizing? What happened?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. First of all, I went back to Aruba for the fifth time in a year. I don't think that anybody should travel anywhere 5 times in a year. I don't even go home 5 times in a year, let alone going to Aruba. I had no Aruba Bay. I went there just to kind of get away and recharge for a few days. I realized it was a waste of time. Let me start by telling you, I rented a house this time with an SUV, thinking, let me do a little different. You know, I don't want to be bougie. Let's just be comfortable. I'll save some money. Well, I didn't save money. I ended up spending less money on the car and more money less money on the living arrangements, but more money on the car and all the accidents that took place. First of all,
Oh.
we stayed in a brand new house where the ceiling ended up leaking. They had no soap, no toothpaste, no amenities. They had nothing, not even toilet paper. Okay, start with that. Then we ended up going on ATVs, and while we were going on ATVing, we flipped over twice. Like two of us flipped over. So I flipped over in my ATV. My friend almost broke his leg. He actually filmed the whole thing. And he's filming us while we're hanging upside down on the phone because he's a TikToker and he thinks that this is a good TikTok moment. This is where I realized that I can't stand TikTokers. And then while we're sitting there while we're getting off the ground and we get back rolling, my assistant's in another ATV and it flips 3 times. Tire blows out. Of course, we were doing way too much. Come to find out, the
Mm-mm.
insurance didn't cover it, so there was that. Then I was frustrated from that and had to go find some clothes because the airline lost my luggage, and I ended up hitting
Oh.
a pole with the rented SUV that we also didn't have insurance for. So it was signs from heaven that I had no damn business being in Aruba, and I will not be going back soon.
First of all, it would have been a nightmare if the airline lost my clothes. So after that, it's just
Right.
all the way downhill for me. I can't. I hate when the airline lose my luggage. It make me just want to. I don't know how you dealt with that.
Well, it's only the second time in life that the airline has been delayed in getting me my luggage. So what I did was they were like, "Sir, if you just take this form, whatever you buy, we'll reimburse it." So I went straight to Gucci and I and
Of course you did.
and I went to Gucci and I went to Dolce Gabbana. Anyway, I bought all this stuff thinking that it would all get reimbursed. Tell me why the reimbursement is like $50 a day or some crazy. Like when I
Of
tell
course.
you I'm over my American Express. I don't know why they give people credit cards with no limits. I'm over that trip. I'm over my friends for not controlling me. I'm over the weather. It was not even cute out there. We went to Flamingo Island. The flamingos didn't even want to talk to nobody. Like the whole trip reminded me that being centered sometimes means being at home and staying still for a while, right? So I'm going to be centered here on a plan of reimbursement.
Ah,
Yeah.
shit. I get that. That sounds like a lot of money was lost. Damn.
It sounds like a lot of energy was wasted. I think I would have been upset with all the energy spent on all that because I feel like Jason can reimburse the money, but you can't get that time back. You can't get
I'm
any of that
deep.
time back.
Well, but thank God I used the Amex the whole weekend. You know, the island, they're pretty smart. They were like, we don't take an American Express because if you call American Express, it'd be like, I don't know about that charge. You know, they just take it off your account. So
Take it
I was
off.
really, I was
Hmm.
really good about charging everything on American Express. So me and Amex gonna have a conversation. What have you guys been up to? I mean, the weather in Los Angeles is beautiful. It's still really cold at night, but it's beautiful out here.
I mean, Halloween just passed. It's one of my least favorite holidays out here. I know I'm probably in the minority with that. I feel like LA do Halloween too long. I feel like it's like a 3-week, 2-week event in LA. I'm sick of the costumes everywhere. So that just happened. I did a couple of Halloween events. I was the Grinch that stole Halloween. I didn't wear an outfit anywhere. I didn't dress up or do anything. Yeah, I know I'm whack, but I did take my son trick or treating, and I will say this: LA is a great trick or treat town. So even though I hate the
Hmm.
parties and the nightlife and everybody doing costumes for 5 weeks. I feel like it's the best experience to take kids trick or treating, hands down. So that was my weekend right there.
But what neighborhood? I mean, I guess. I mean, what
Beverly
neighborhood?
Hills.
Yeah, like what area? Like the valley? Like, do you drive somewhere to do it? Do you
Mm-hmm.
do it in your neighborhood? Because I remember when we used to go trick or treating, we didn't like doing it in our neighborhood. We used to like go to the other side of town.
And I'm glad you said that because somebody brought that up, and I was actually trick or treating in my neighborhood, but one of the others was like, "Oh, I remember as a kid, we used to watch other kids come into our neighborhood." I'm like, "I live around the corner. What you trying to say?" I don't know if they was talking about me, but anywhere in LA, they got the neighborhood. So Sherman Oaks, of course, Echo Park. You got Burbank, Glendale, all those things that go up.
Yeah.
Near Universal City goes up.
Yeah, because see, most of the time I've lived in Hollywood, I've lived in Hollywood. So most of the time I've lived in LA, I've stayed in Hollywood. So trick or treating around Hollywood, we're gonna go Verizon, Katsuya. It's not a real place to take your kids trick or treating. What's somebody gonna put in there? A rolled shrimp? I don't know. I also don't like the fact that Halloween gives people a license to knock on your door. I'm opening my door with a gun all the time. So I'm just telling you right now, don't come over here. The treats you gonna get, you're gonna get tricked. But
But
I don't like the fact that people knock on the door. And I think I live near another TikTok house because they're having parties in broad daylight. And I kind of want to like go on the roof and just kind of fire off my gun a few times and like scare the whole neighborhood. But I'm already battling a neighbor that doesn't like me lighting my fireplace. He actually sent me an email today letting me know that tomorrow is a no firewood burning day.
Oh, he's a hater. That's a bit of a hater. Fires are sexy in the fall. It sounds like you guys had an interesting weekend. I too had an interesting weekend. I've prayed over how much I'm going to share. I just want to say that Jason, you and Damage give the worst love advice ever. I want to rebuke both of you for talking me into going on that date with that white man. Worst advice ever.
What
And
happened?
I can't. I'm trying to pray on how much of this I can say publicly. So the date, I will say this: tall, handsome, 6'4", works at a tech company, make lots of money, very much likes black women because he made it a point to repeatedly tell me how much he likes 90s R&B and Afro beats, like over and over. So I was like, I get it, you like black girls. So the date started off really well to the point where at one point I found out that he went to school in Boston and he hates Boston as much as I do. I mean, I love Boston, the people, but Boston's crazy. And so we're laughing, and the date was going so well. I was like, oh my God, is this how my story ends? Am I about to have a Serena moment? Am I about to end up with this
Wait.
super tall?
Stop shading my girl. That is my
No,
friend.
I was open to it. She's the reason I gave this a chance. Like she was my North Star.
No,
Like
but
this might be my
Serena,
Serena moment.
but Serena, I just want to put some context around it. She fell in love with, married, and had a child by a man who was a very successful, wealthy man who happens to be white. She was not seeking out whether or not she wanted to play the B side to that nigga to the A track. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I met him in a similar way. She met him while she was out at dinner in Italy. I wasn't in Italy, but I was out at dinner in West Hollywood when I met him. So I was like, even the way that we met was similar. I think her husband is about 6'3". This guy's about 6'4" and a half. So I'm like, everything from their job to how we met. I was like, I'm really having a Serena moment. I even had a blonde wig. I was like, no, this is my Serena moment. I was leaning into it. I was keeping my heart open as Damage told me to do. Horrible advice. Because 2 hours of probably the best date that I had thought I had ever been on in LA. Like amazing date. This man leans over our candlelight dinner. I won't say where we went, but it was somewhere very nice and expensive. He leans over our candlelight dinner and says to me that he would like me to take off my underwear and give it to him so he could wear it.
He was not a hairdresser.
And I said, excuse me, like I thought I heard him wrong.
He was a panty appreciator, not a cross-dresser.
And he didn't.
Wait.
It gets worse.
Wait. Did he want to wear it on his face, or he wanted to like put them on?
I was so taken aback. I thought he was joking because we had been joking all night, and he was like, "No, I'm not. I'm serious." And I was like, "Oh," so I was like, "Well, let me lie to him." I was like, "Well, I'm not wearing any tonight." Haha, wrong move. He I can't say what he said after that, but he
No,
had a game
no, no,
plan.
no. You definitely have to say what he said after that. What did he say?
He was like, well, we can look up tomorrow, and you can give them to me tomorrow. Just make sure that they're soiled.
What do you mean soiled?
He said, I wanted you to soak through your underwear before you give it to me. And I was like, so at this point, my homegirl, who's a basketball player, I picked a place
Wait,
that was close to
wait,
her house.
wait,
I
wait,
texted her to come
wait,
pick me up.
wait, wait, wait,
Hey, slow
wait,
down.
wait.
I don't want to slow
There are
down.
different. Wait, there are different types of soiling. Like, did he want you to do cardio on him? Did he want you to pee in him? Did he want you to like shit, not wipe your ass completely, and then just
He
kind of put
wanted
it on?
me
Like,
to
what?
be aroused in my underwear and then
Uh,
give it to him so that he could wear it to work at the tech company.
like
And I
like
said,
wear him on his hips, like
no,
like
on his
wear them.
body. And I said, well, I'm not really into that. I don't believe in kink shaming. So if anybody's into that, I'm not going to kink shame you. I said, that's not my kink. Like, and I picked the right verbiage. I didn't shame him. And he was like, well, can we at least go into the bathroom and make out before your Uber gets here? I said, no, like, no. And then he asked me if I could grab his balls. And I said, and he said, and he gave directions. He was like, grab them hard enough for it to hurt, but not so hard that I can't walk in the morning. And I said, I don't know how to gauge that. I have to go. Like, I'm not equipped for any of
Wait,
this.
did you meet this guy on christianmingles.com or something? Like, where did you
No,
meet this guy?
I met him at a very nice, swanky restaurant.
That's where it be. That's where
Wait,
they be
so
at, huh?
was this your first date?
Yes, this was 2 hours into our amazing, magical, super romantic fairy tale first date that went left all of a sudden out of nowhere.
But Blue,
And
you
so,
gotta give him another shot.
no, damn it, shut up. No, you give the worst
No,
advice.
let me
Both
tell
of
you what you
y'all,
should
shut
do.
up.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna give you better advice. Here's what you do. I would literally just shit in some drawers and take them to him and
No.
see how kinky he is. Because look, if you get to that dinner and you give him them shitty drawers and he falls in love, call the police because that nigga done kill somebody. For real. Seriously.
Well, this is how I know I'm not a gold digger because one of my friends who is a gold digger said, "Oh, honey, I would have totally given him the underwear and charged him for it." And I could tell that he would have paid. I am officially not a gold digger. I don't care how rich he was, and he made a point of telling me how rich he was. None of that mattered. My homegirl was about to swoop down, and my homegirl is 6'1". She was about to swoop down and yank me out of there. Luckily for him, the Uber got there before she did. I was really scared and uncomfortable,
Wait, but
and I've done some.
is he rich in like the millions rich?
Well, he yeah. He's past 6
Oh,
figures, yeah.
oh, you should have gave them drawers to him.
No. I don't like money that I can make my own money, Jason. I believe in myself. I can make my own
I'm
money.
sorry. I've been known to be a
So
serial broke nigga dater, but I'm telling you right now, if somebody come in my life and he got 7 figures and he just want me to like piss in some underwear or something, I'm with it. He can have them.
Now,
no, he wanted me to have female ejaculation in my underwear and give it to him so he could wear it to work. No.
now, if
No.
he didn't want to wear them, would you would have did it? Because that's
I
a little
don't
different if he didn't want to wear them. What if he just like, yo, let me get your panties?
It was a first date. Like, and here's the thing, too. Most people I date are people that I know or who are in my ecosystem. This was a complete stranger. So we have no friends in common. We don't know anybody in common. I've never seen him around. So it's different when it's a complete stranger and not someone who's kind of in your ecosystem, which is why my homegirl was on standby. So no, if because of the circumstances, no. If it was somebody that I knew and it was a flirtationship and then we went on a date, maybe I've done that before, but like no, not this situation was a hell no. And I felt scared because when he hugged me goodbye, let's just say he was built like a black man from the waist down, and I felt it when he hugged me goodbye, and I was like, I gotta go. So
Well,
yeah,
that's another reason to go back. What are you talking about? I
no.
mean, it's at this point, it sounds like you're looking for somebody who's perfect. Everybody has some quirk about them.
Everybody has
What?
flaws, Blue.
Jason, no,
I mean,
I'm not that
okay,
desperate. No, I'm good.
I don't think it's desperation. I think given the fact that we are in the middle of a pandemic, you kind of gotta, take what you get. Well, anyway, I don't know. That's pretty sad. Well, listen, at least it did end up in a fight because other people are in the news for fighting. Our friend to the show, Monique Slaughter, has been accused of allegedly punching some woman at Cardi's party. Now, you remember that party I showed you guys the video of me and Monique dancing at Cardi's birthday party. Monique, to me, was in sound mind. I mean, it doesn't take much for her to go off or anybody to go off, but she's now saying that, or they're now saying that she punched some woman at the party. back in October. She's denying the claims. I talked to her. I'm going to tell you what she said. Now, the woman has gone and filed court documents suing her. And the woman is unidentified at this point, but she's also seeking a restraining order saying that Moniece was trying to throw them hands. Now, we spoke to Moniece yesterday. I sent her a copy of the story that our friends over at The Blast posted. And this is what she said. She actually texted me back. She said, quote, "I didn't attack anyone. What the fuck? I didn't even argue with a single woman. Not one. I argued with my ex, nigga. Nothing happened. What the hell?" And I said, well, do you want to give me an official statement? She said, "That's my fucking statement."
That's Moniece.
So I believe Moniece because we were actually with her for a large part of that party. I think she was with me for like 2 hours, and an hour of that she was sitting on my lap. Moniece was in a very happy, chill, jovial mood. I didn't see her even being slightly aggressive, so I don't believe it. I was there with her at the party for a very long time. I don't believe it happened personally.
Yeah, and I saw her as well and danced with her, and she seemed sober and in sound mind. She seemed to be having a great time. I didn't see
Hmm.
any fight. In fact, one thing that I told Cardi and everybody about that I loved about the party was it was mixy and there were a lot of people there, but it didn't seem that there was any of that negative energy. But the filing is saying that Moniece walked into the party and walked over to her, trying to just fight her. But she caught her hand and held
No,
until security came. So my thing is, wait a minute. You're saying Moniece
no.
walked in the party, found you, walked directly up to you, started throwing them hands, and then danced and sat on Blue's lap the rest of the night? Like, it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. But, I
Be-
feel like
I don't believe
nowadays
it.
people who are public figures are easy targets to get sued and accused of anything. And now there's a lawsuit filed. There's no charges or anything. So this is kind of weird.
Being that I seen Moniece walk into that event and I was the one that actually lifted her into the VIP section where she
He
sat with
was.
me and Blue, ain't none of that happened. That's all cap. But if she was to punch you, I see why, because you just a lying ass. Never mind.
So me and Damage can be character witnesses. Oh God, we're gonna be in this court case, Damage.
Well, my question to all of you is, have you ever been a victim of being accused of something or attacking somebody? And I'll tell you, I recently went to Paris and I said a very traumatic situation where somebody was trying to extort me. They had actually filed a report that I attacked them, and then the police arrested me and took me to the police department, and it was a 14-hour investigation. They took my passport. They refused to let me go. The person had a person that was known to extort people in Paris texting me, trying to get money out of me or trying to scare me into settling it privately. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I had to go to the embassy. I couldn't find the police. I mean, you don't know the foreign laws. And one thing I will say, it absolutely single-handedly changed how I deal with people. Now I'm very, very careful who I talk to. Everybody has to sign an NDA. My staff re-signed them. People coming to my house to sign them. And more importantly, I've also created protocols around me with my team when I travel, how I let fans engage me, how I engage the fans, how, where we see these people, where we don't see these people. And I will tell you, I now, as somebody who owns a media company and has this platform, I see how celebrities are set up. So that's why I could look at this and go, "Now that's cap." Because what would a normal person do? Right? If you
Hmm.
were beat up at a party or somebody punched you, you would stop and call the police right there. You would file a report right there. You wouldn't wait a month or almost a month after and then go file a civil suit or file charges to try to get people for money. And when this happened to me in Paris, I called Tiffany and I told her what happened, and she said, "You have to realize now that you have reached a certain level of success, people see you as a dollar sign." And it just made me
Hmm.
really think of how I see me may not be how another person sees me. How I may interact with somebody may not be perceived the way they perceive it. And that's why I think being very grounded in core principles of how you protect yourself, spaces you don't go to, people you don't associate with, the first dates you talk about. With me, I don't feel comfortable going on first dates with anybody. That's why I always bring a friend. I always bring a witness. You know what I mean? I always have
Hmm.
people around. I
Hmm.
invite people into my home that I want to get to know because there are cameras, there are staff here all day, there's people around. I just don't feel comfortable. And after what I went through over there, very, very traumatic. The idea of somebody taking your passport, they tried to tell me that I was going to go in a cell. They said, "Now we have to put you in a cell." I said, "Let me tell you something, motherfucker. I ain't no criminal, so I'm not going to no cell." And I sat my ass right there in the office and made them order me a pizza. And I sat there and I ate that pizza. Well, at least the pizza.
Oh
This
Lord.
makes me sad because I actually travel a lot in Europe, and I remember my mother had saved up a lot of money for us to go on this really amazing mother-daughter vacation, and we had a lot of really expensive accommodations, and I think we were in Paris and Naples, and in those two places in particular, people in the area, scammers, thought that we had more money than we did. They didn't realize it was a special occasion, and luckily we had a local who came with us and said, "No, they're gonna rob you. They've been watching you since you left the hotel. They're gonna rob you." And luckily he stayed with us the whole trip, so I wasn't a celebrity. It was just me and my mom with a little bit of like extra change in our purse. And they were literally about to scam us as Americans. So when you travel abroad, you really have to think about it. It's not just about being a celebrity. If you seem like a rich American and the bar for that is lower than you think, they're going to think you're a mark. Just think about what happened to, Kim Kardashian. And Jason, it's crazy that you're mentioning moving differently because I had dinner with Rosa Acosta on Monday. And while we were sitting there, two girls walked over to talk to us and they realized I was on the show. They're like, "Oh, Jason Lee, like we love Jason." And they had met you somewhere. And this is like the sixth time, Jason, I've been to dinner with somebody and somebody's walked up to me and said that they know you. And my thought was, Jason knows everybody in LA. I didn't realize he was this damn friendly. So everybody in LA knows you, Jason. And I think before you had the kind of platform you had, that was okay. But for the spaces that you're in right now, you do have to be more careful because everybody knows you. It's very easy for folks to get familiar and see you as a mark. So I'm happy you're stepping up security.
Well, even in Aruba, like when we traveled, we were going into our Airbnb at night with my back to the street, and the man jogging by says, "Hey, Jason," and my friends gagged. They were like, "This is crazy." But the thing we have to remember, like we've had over 1 billion minutes watched on this show. We have millions of followers. People hear us on the radio every weekend. People know who I am, or they think they know me, or they think they know you guys. And I think it's being very just aware of that, being aware of even conversations. People don't understand. I FaceTime because I want to see who's in the room. I want to make sure you're not filming our conversation. I am always thinking about security, but I let my guard down in Paris. I do want to say shout out to the police in Paris and the police chief in Paris, because it was the police chief and his investigators who from the very beginning knew that it was an extortion attempt and didn't believe the parties involved, and did everything to make sure not only that I was treated with respect and dignity, and that they made sure that I left feeling with dignity, because it was a very difficult process to go through. It made me think about how many men and women are accused of things that they never
Hmm.
did, and that are literally not as lucky as me. They had already done an investigation and saw my Instagram. They saw that I had dinner with Christian Louboutin and Cardi B the night before. They saw who I was. They saw what I owned. They
Yep.
knew I was a public figure. They already knew. So I think there was a side of it where they didn't really want to have that public stuff happen, but also, I had to call Floyd when I was there to say, "Hey, this is what's going on with me. I may need you to, have my back here." It was a very traumatic process, and it literally was the process that led me to seeking therapy, because I had to really process, one, as a black man, as a gay black man, how people see me, even though I walk into the world not looking at prejudice or classism per se every day, or even just the way people treat black people or gay people in general. I don't walk into the world that I just charge into the world getting done what I need to get done. But when I
Mhm.
think when this happened, I was able to stop and think about the people who are less fortunate, that don't have the resources, that don't have the relationships, that don't have the money, that don't have the prestige or public persona. We got somebody out of prison on this show. Everybody can't call up a congresswoman and do that. So when I think about the privilege, I'm like, yo, how do we bring more attention to stuff like this? And people are like, oh, I wouldn't even talk about that. No, no. I'm going to fully unpack it at some point, because it's changed now, even how I report on things, because I'm looking at it through different
Hmm.
lenses. Because now I'm like, wait a minute, this don't sound right. Like this story right now with Moniz, it just doesn't sound or feel right to me.
Amen.
No, I hear that. And it's not just people you don't know. I know you got to have NDAs and stuff, but it could be people close to you. I've been in a situation and never got to like the court system, but it was somebody I was dealing with that I knew for years, knew their family, and we had some kind of relationship. It didn't go farther because they didn't want it to go farther, but this person kept leaving stuff at my house. So one day they come over my house and they wanted to do something that I didn't agree to doing, and they were like, "All right, well, give me all my stuff back." And I was like, "How about I take you home first, and then I'll bring you your stuff?" They was like, "Yo, if you don't give me my stuff right now, I'm gonna tear your apartment apart." And I'm like, "You're not gonna do that." This person gets up, starts attacking me, but screaming for help. Now you gotta understand, It's so scary these days. Like you can literally feel like a prisoner in your own home. This person is attacking me, but screaming help at the same time. I'm like, if anybody hears this, the cop is going to come and they're going to assume I'm the problem. And it's just so crazy. Like you got to watch not only the people you don't know around you, but even people you know, close because this situation can happen to anybody in any way. So you really just, this is why I kind of, you know, I keep one eye open of everybody I'm around because you just never know who would trigger you like that. My heart was beating. I'm like, if anybody calls the police right now, I'm going to jail. They're not going to ask any questions. Even though this is my house, they don't live here. I'm going to go to jail.
Well, damage. Here's the deal. If it was a woman, you're a man, she's a woman, you automatically lose. You're a black man, it's a woman, regardless to the color. Don't let her be a white or
Exactly.
Spanish woman, and you're a black man. The crazy part about those situations is as I was going through my experience, I was having to think of, let me make sure my staff are good. Let me make sure that my partnerships are good. Like I had to start thinking of all of the impact the
Mm-hmm.
bullshit could have on everything I built. And then you start assessing, did I build all this to make it so easy for people to walk in and fuck it up? You know what I mean? Like what is my responsibility in it? Because we all play a part in it. We let our guard down. But you know, the thing that you said that's really interesting, I saw a post that said, be aware. No, it said it's not the 10 enemies you need to worry about. It's the one close friend that you cut off or that you no longer deal with. Like that person will be the one who
It's
would
the
try to take
person.
you down. Hmm.
I knew
And
her family, her mom, her aunt, and I couldn't believe. I'm like, you're doing this to me? Like, I know your whole family, and it's just you can never tell who might cross you like that.
you know what's sobering is the word betrayal, because you guys know I'm a nerd. I love words. The word betrayal, you cannot betray somebody unless they're close to you.
Mm.
You cannot be betrayed unless the person who's doing you wrong is someone who's close to you. So when we think of that word betrayal, you can only feel betrayal if there's a sense of intimacy first, right? And I do agree that when it comes to stories like that, I have a cousin who literally last week was almost accused of sexually assaulting a young white woman that he was on a date with, and because he was black and he knew the optics, he called me freaking out and I had to help him through that. Unfortunately for her, I'm with the shits and I scared her away with, my legal talk. But there was a moment where I was like, oh my God, my cousin could really get in trouble for something that I know is untrue because of like an Emmett Till situation. I will say the flip though of that is that when I had an Airbnb guest, a very young white man who was staying in my home who got drunk and shat all over my apartment. You can Google it because it went viral, unfortunately. I called the police on him, and the police said, here's a small white man who looks like Dylan Roof, and here's this big black woman, and they took his side because they
Mm.
saw me as a big black woman who was a scary predator and he's a small white man. So sometimes even race can supersede gender if the optics are off. And in that moment, Damage, I felt like you. I was like, I'm in my own home. This man got drunk and literally defecated all of my property. And the police are siding with him and saying, well, he's sorry. Are you sure you want to press charges?
Yeah, and
Well,
you
this
feel
is
like a
what I love.
prisoner in your own property. Sorry.
But this is what I love about the system over in Paris because it's very different. The accusers have to prove you did something. Here, you have to prove
Oh.
you didn't. And I
Hmm.
feel like we live in a world, especially in this country, where our judicial system is so broken and it's just all horrible, especially for us, right? But with cancel culture and with the internet, you could say something happen and it could just grow and become this public thing. That's why I'm not the fastest to side with just anything anybody says on the internet. And I will tell you, when you say Emmett Till and you think about all these other people, you really start going through your mind of, I'm becoming just another one of those people who were wrongly accused of whatever it is, right? um and who's going to believe me?
Mhm.
It's just it was this craziest mind opening, eye opening, soul opening experience that for a while, for maybe like a week or two, it really had my personal um energy at low. I was at a low vibration because I was just like, I cannot believe there are people in the world like this that would try a person like me. And so I just, again, I take my hat off to those people over there because they smelled bullshit from the beginning and they handled it. And I got out and went straight to the club and got drunk. I was like, I need some
Oh.
1942. It was too much. Okay, look, speaking of predators that are out there. Let's flip it now. Brittney Renner, friend to the show, Bundle of Brittney on Instagram, she's being called a predator over her "hide your sons" comment. Now, she said this on a podcast recently. She said, "I'm allowed to sleep with someone who's 18 if I wanted to." Now, this was a conversation she had with academics where she talked about the backlash she's received over a controversial "hide your sons" tweet, and this sparked a big debate online. And I had my own feelings about it because I've said openly as a gay man who dates younger, I date legal, I just date younger, but I've been called a pedophile and other things. When it comes to a woman, it's the first time I've ever heard the conversation flip on its head like this. And it's Brittney in the middle of it because she was dating the guy, PJ Washington from the Charlotte Hornets, ended up having a child with him. And people, called her out saying that she was, quote, faking her relationship after giving birth to their child. Now, she's 29 years old. And she's an author who's written about different relationships she's had with many celebrities. She was on this show talking about that, very open about her issues. Her relationship with Trey Songz and different men, what she talked about. But now she's being accused of, quote, grooming this Washington guy because he was a lot younger. I guess he was 18 when she first started coming around his games. So she went on this show and she's made some comments that have people going crazy. But this was following her doing a post while she was at a game that said, "Hide your sons." Now, we all know that Brittney is a troll, and I really feel like Brittney is doing what Lil Nas X is doing. She's trolling people to show the double standard, right? But when she went on academic show, she said, quote, "The whole predator shit, it was our homecoming and there were 60-year-olds on campus. It's just like it is what it is. I'm allowed to sleep with someone who's 18 if I wanted to, and that's all I'm really defending." She's also saying that she wouldn't do it because that's not her thing. But the question is, if she's saying she would date younger and the person's legal, is it a problem?
No. I think what Brittany got to understand is when you start dating, messing with athletes, especially beloved athletes, that Twitter interaction, that Instagram interaction, that hate you're going to get is way different sometimes from even a musical artist. Because now you have people who don't know who you are at all jumping into the conversation. I think we've seen this with Kehlani dealing with Kyrie Irving, where he had to step in and say, "Leave her alone." Those sports fans are just so much different. So
We
I
saw
think
that with Sierra when she started dating Russell. They said that she was the reason why he was losing all the games. Khloe
you see
Kardashian,
that.
she was dating Tristan Thompson.
So those sports fans, they hit a little different. So she's not doing nothing we ain't see before, man. She's dating some dude that she liked. It didn't work out. The relationship moves on. But because you dated an athlete that's beloved, you're going to have a little bit more interaction on social media and Instagram like that. And it's going to look like a lot more, it's going to be a lot more exposed than it should have been. I think that's really the situation.
I think that there's several truths can be true at the same time. I'm going to be honest before anybody gets crazy in the comments. Everybody knows I date younger men, right? Like I'm not even going to front. And so people are going to be like, and somebody actually asked me about this. They're like, "Oh, Blue, you must be on Brittany's side because he was only 6 years younger." I have like a 10-year cap. Now that I'm in my 40s, 10 years is still in their 30s. So let's be clear about that, adults. But the reason why I'm giving Brittany the side eye, despite agreeing with everything that's been said, is that yes, older men do it all the time. Yes, athletes have fans that are fanatical and crazy. And yes, she is dating legal, just like Jason and I date younger and we date legal. However, Brittany is not just a troll. She's also a troll who years ago made videos literally mapping out what she's accused of proactively. She literally said, "These athletes are dumb and don't wear condoms. So if you want to come up, make them fall in love with you and have a baby with one for a bag." So she's being accused of something that she literally already championed on video prior to meeting him. So she's not just a victim of circumstance, she's a victim of her own mouth. She literally said she was going to do it and she did it. So whether she was just joking years ago and it happened to happen later on, sis, you already admitted it on video ahead of time before it happened. And I think that's what's really making this a smoking gun and very different than the broader conversation because she literally said she was going to do it and she did it.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm gonna tell you why. How many guys do we know plotted on shooting one up in a woman and getting her pregnant and then locking her down? Like that's something that's happened for years, right? Men have been plotting on women. I think what Brittany is doing is she's treating these guys like guys treat girls. I think there's definitely a great conversation to be had here. Me and Brittany talked about her coming back on the show because I do think there is a double standard. I think there's a double standard when a woman dates younger and a man dates younger. I think, I'll be very honest. I date mid-20s, mid to late 20s. That's just my thing. I like it. I mean, would I date somebody in their 30s? Yeah. Am I looking for somebody in their 40s? No. If I fell in love with somebody in their 40s, would I date them? Of course. I'm very much open to whatever's there. I'm not you don't have to fit in a younger or mid 20 or late 20 box. I'm open to people and energy, but I'm not open to a kid. And so I think that there's the difference, but I do think there's a double standard for people of color who date younger than white people, because you've seen these 65-year-old, 75-year-old white men dating 20-year-old blow up dolls, and there's nothing wrong with that, because hey, this is what it is. You had what's the guy name with the Playboy Mansion? Hugh Hefner. He was like 80, 90, 100. I don't even know how old he was, man. He rest in peace. But all the women in his life were in their 20s and 30s. And people normalized it because it was a player. This old man walking around in his robe all day long. Damn, I walk around in my robe all day too, huh? I need to stop.
You really do.
Anyway, but, my point is there's a whole double standard. And I want us to get to a place where if you're dating legal and you're happy, be happy. And if you're not in that relationship, don't police it. Like, who cares? I shout out to Brittney. Keep treating these men like they've been treating y'all.
I mean, is it a double standard? Because Madonna done dated young guys. I know J-Lo dated young guys. I don't think anybody ever called them predators. I think it becomes the predator word with Brittney because that fake tweet went out about all the money she was going to get for child support, which I believe was just false. It was just completely made up. So does that make her a predator? I don't think so.
The difference between Madonna and J-Lo, the difference between Madonna and J-Lo and Brittney is they're not black.
Oh.
And I wonder.
See, black women that want to be treated better and want better lives and expect their baby daddies to help them and take care of them and their child are predators. But these other women who are shiny ornaments or superstars are just, women. I think there's a double standard there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a woman. From optically, it looks that way.
She did say this, but as a man, I'm going to look at the dude. I'm like, if your girl done mapped out this story on a public forum and you still go and proceed to do the same thing, I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at you, bruh. You a sucker.
She wrote a book about it. I read that book page by page.
I can't hate the player. I gotta hate the game. I can't be mad at her.
I have a question though, guys, and Jason, this is for you too, right? I do recognize somebody said a comment to me recently, and they said, "Blue, I think the reason why you don't get flack for dating younger men is because you feel younger yourself." And so it doesn't feel predatory. It feels like you just have a young spirit. Jason, you also have a very playful spirit. Do you think that because we're thinking a 26-year-old woman is like, in her business, in her bag, and we think of an 18-year-old guy as a boy, do we think that the time frame actually matters as well? Because those 6 years I don't think would matter if she was, 38 and he was 32. I think it being so close to 18 also had something to do with it too.
Well, let's unpack it, right? An 18, 19, and a 20-year-old, you can't do shit with them because you can't go to the club, you can't drink, you can't do nothing with them.
Yeah.
So that in itself makes no sense to me. Why an 18, 19, 20-year-old? Anyway, you meet a 21-year-old. I'm 44. Am I going to date a 21-year-old? No, because what are we going to have in common, right? We're not going to walk in any social setting and have the same conversation. You're not going to come to a dinner party and look like anything more than an ornament. Like, it's just, I've talked to somebody in their early 20s that I actually found to be very interesting, and I liked them and I liked a lot about them. But ultimately, relationship talk, when we started going there, didn't even make sense for me. If I was going to get in a relationship with somebody, you're going to have to be 27, 28, 30, 35, somewhere in that range, because there's not enough common interest at that point until you're in that age group. But when I'm 44, if I want something young, fly, fun, to travel with, have a good time, go party, club, all of that, I still live that lifestyle, so I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't in my mind go, oh my God, they're 25 years old, can't talk to them. Like, I don't believe that, because I don't live with the idea that age actually, like when you're 44, what am I dead? Am I close to retirement? I mean, like, I don't understand that, where people are saying that your age, you can't date younger. The other thing too is we do live and work in a different city, in a different culture, in a different world in LA, New York, Miami. It's just different. You know what I mean? So is there somebody
Yeah.
watching this in North Dakota saying, not on my watch? Probably, but that's not the world that I live in.
I mean, I would say this: when I was 18, 19, even 20, I was dating people in their late 20s, early 30s. And the picture, if I had the money old boy PJ had, I'm sure I probably could have had a whole family and relationship at 18, 19. So I think it just all depends on who you're talking about. I'm not going to look at her necessarily as a predator. And if she is, it's on him, bruh. If that's no one told you to take the condom off. Nobody told you to shoot up the club. That's on you, bro. Like that whole situation falls on you. I
Absolutely.
look, that's the game. I'm from the streets. If you got caught up like that, that's on you. You a sucker. Like it is what
Well,
it is. I'm not gonna be, oh, she's so bad. Well, how did you do that to him? How did you let somebody do that to you? As a basketball player, growing up, what happens. This ain't, you have social media. But I don't think that's what the situation was. Watching their Instagram, watching their story, I think she really liked him. I think they really just had a breakup, and people are just mad about that. I don't
I
think
agree
she
with
was
but
trying
that.
to
no,
play
no,
him in any
she
way.
I agree with that.
definitely liked him.
Yeah, she liked him.
She definitely started moving very different. I think she thought that was the guy that she was going to be with. Let's be clear. Nobody talked about this basketball player until he started dating her, because these women are the clout. She had more followers than him. She had more social influence than him. He probably had more money than her. And one thing she told me is that he told her that I tried to message him in the direct messages on Instagram, trying to get information on their relationship as a way of making her not want to fuck with me. So she had unfollowed me, and then there was this weird no interaction. So since we've come back together, and that's alleged, of course, but since we've come back together, we started exchanging notes. I had to be very clear. I had to send her a message like, I don't even know him. I have no reason to go to him. So that was a lie. So in many ways, I think he used her for clout. And so now that she's getting the other hand of it, the better hand of it, because he's going to have to pay for this kid, and she's back to doing her trolling thing. I just think you can't call foul on a game that you played when it didn't work in your favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
You
with
know who
that.
you with. You know who you with.
Well, listen, another person who's taking an L is Ice Cube. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily a loss, but he's not getting $9 million for this movie role because he's refusing to take the vaccine. Now, he's losing out on the movie, and the payout is $9 million because he hasn't received the COVID-19 vaccination. Now, we've been talking a lot here on the show about Kyrie Irving and other people not getting their bag because they're standing up for having a choice over their own body. Sounds pretty similar to what women have been going through for decades, but whatever. Now, the rapper is refusing to get vaccinated to secure his role in this film called Oh Hell No, after producers had made the request. Ice Cube was planning to star alongside Jack Black after signing up with Sony in June. Now, months after he agreed to do this, producers requested for all cast members to get vaccinated. They're now looking to replace him because he's refusing to do it. Let me first say, Ice Cube, is your body, and you rich enough to decide what you want to do and not do. Congratulations to you. Now, somebody like me, $9 million. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Facts.
What do you
Mhm.
think?
I think what's getting crazy about this vaccine thing is when people are making their own personal decisions, they're getting shamed for it. Like if Ice Cube said, you know what, I don't want to take, I'm gonna lose out on this money. Oh, Ice Cube is stupid, blah, 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 blah. It's his decision and he can afford to make that decision. Why is it such a big thing for people when people want to put whatever they believe their health is first? If some people believe in the vaccine, take the vaccine. If you don't believe in the vaccine, you should have the free right to not take the vaccine. But it seems like you just get all this hate and anger if you do anything against this vaccine. He
I will
doesn't
say
want to be on.
yes, the shaming I think is gross on both sides. I think people who have vaccines who are shaming people who don't have it are gross. I think people who don't have the vaccine who are shaming those of us who do as if we're dirty or unclean are also gross. I just think everybody needs to mind their business and stop shaming on both sides. I'm kind of sick of everybody on this
Mhm.
topic. And so for me, I have friends who I got vaccinated early because my mother's 75 and I had to go see her. And legally in Massachusetts, they would not let me see my mother without that. And she was more important to me than any
Mhm.
political stance. So I did it, right? But had it not been for her, I would not be vaccinated. So I'm someone who's a hybrid. But there were people who, when I got vaccinated, started talking to me crazy like I was a sheep. So that's also equally disrespectful. I think everybody minding people's business is disrespectful. So I think on both sides, stay in your lane. Do what works for you. If you can afford it, then bet, take the L. I also think there's a price of admission, right? If someone has a movie and they're saying for the safety of our crew and whatever else, we've decided that this is a vaccine only space, then that isn't the movie for you. Look for another blessing. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's a little bit nuts though when anybody on either side acts as if they're entitled to someone to act the way that they are acting. So I think everybody needs to shut up a little bit on this one. I'm sick of
And let's
everybody
be
on this topic.
and let's be clear, this is not like he's just passing up a movie. He recently made headlines after he donated thousands of masks to the Bacone College in Oklahoma to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So it's not like he's just not being responsible or socially responsible. I feel like when you make a
Exactly.
decision over your own body to not do it, that all of to not take the vaccination, all of a sudden now you're just shamed as if you're one of the super spreaders. And I think that that's absolutely not true. He also launched merchandise earlier this year with the merchandiser Blackout and used the proceeds to help out essential workers who are combating COVID-19. So, on one hand, it's a shame that he's losing out on this opportunity. But on the other hand, it's like, yo, he's done a lot of great work. So, doesn't he deserve it? I don't know. But I will tell you this, starting November 4th here in LA, there's new vaccine mandates that are being put into place where we can't basically go anywhere or do anything without having a vaccination card. And I will tell you that it feels like for those of you, and from what I've heard, that have not been vaccinated, that the world is closing in on you. That you will be
Mm-hmm.
the very few people to not get it. So I don't know. It's kind of scary what's happening, right?
Yeah, I think it's weird. But back to what Blue said, I'm like, I just don't understand why what decision you make that's best for you has to be this war. Like I'm tired
Mhm.
of the war. Rather you want to be vaccinated. I have friends that are vaccinated and they want to get vaccinated for their family members, just like you, Blue, for their grandparents. Do that. And then I have people that don't want to get vaccinated. Do that. I don't care either way. I just hate when the media starts spinning it like you're a bad person if you do each. It's like it's getting exhausting. Like it's just
Yep.
exhausting.
Well, let me tell you what else is exhausting. Will and Jada Smith. Now, I love both of them.
Oh
They're
God.
icons. They are icons, but these people were once the most private couple in the world. They are now oversharing. And as they get older, I feel like there's going to be more word vomit that comes out, especially if Facebook extends Red Table Talk. Will Smith has a new book coming out, and the memoir is titled Will. And in it, he talks about when he thought about killing his father, and he talked about his father's abuse, and how it
Some
defined
funny
who he
ish.
is today. Now he wrote, "quote My father tormented me, and he was also one of the greatest men I've ever known." He shared. He also said that he was one of the greatest blessings of his life, and also one of his greatest sources of pain. Now he also gone to explain like the pain that his abusive father caused him and his mother, while revealing he once contemplated killing him. Now he said there was a moment specifically. His father is a U.S. Veteran, U.S. Air Force veteran, Willard Carroll Smith Sr. He was sick at the time with his cancer growing, and while he was trying his best to deal with the trauma of his childhood, Smith considered killing his dad in order to avenge his mom. And he said, "That's when I was big enough, when I was strong enough, when I was no longer a coward, I would slay him. I paused at the top of the stairs. I could shove him down and easily get away with it. I'm Will Smith. No one would ever believe I killed my father on purpose. I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would be Academy Award level. As the decades of pain, anger, and resentment cursed then receded, I shook
Mm,
my head and proceeded to wheel Daddy-O to the bathroom."
mm.
I just don't think you needed to share all that. I mean, I see the problem with these celebrities is you craft this perfectly beautifully put together brand where we have an image of you. Like there's no way the man pushing Jello pudding pops was also trying to, put one in somebody who was heavily sedated. So it's almost like it's hard for us to wrap our minds around these icons of our generation and what we believe black excellence looks like, to then hear that we're plotting out a murderous scheme on your father and we're going to use your acting skills that we all believed in as a way of getting away with it. On the other hand, we love that they're starting to open up and show us that they're a little bit more human, but we don't want to know you as a human. We want to know you as Big Willie, or we want to see your Big Willie. We don't want to keep hearing about you wanting to kill your dad or Jada wanting to let August kill her vagina. Like that's just too much information too soon, too much for me.
I rather hear about this than anything more about him and Jada. Like me
Ooh.
loving Will as an act. No, for real, I'm tired of that. Like they did that. They did that. Good for them. Him speaking about his pains and his trauma growing up in this game, and how he interacted with his parents, we never got to know that about Will, and it kind of makes me more interested in him as an actor, seeing where he probably draws some of that emotion from. So if that's in his book, I'm with that. Everything else I'm kind of cool on. Like this, if this was another story about him and Jada, I'd have been like, oh man, again, this did give me a little bit more about who Will is as a person, because Will had this perfect image for so long. It's like, does he feel? Does he get angry? Does he have demons? So it kind of like gives me that insight into his character and as a person. So I personally like it.
Well,
The funny thing is,
the way that Jada talked about their bedroom behavior, Jada better not be standing at the top of no stairs, because I mean,
she did say, "I'm tired," like Harriet Tubman. The funny thing is, Damage, I think that him sharing this though is actually fruit from the poison tree of what's happening with him and Jada. Though I think we're hearing this story because of Jada, and bear with me. When you are in a healthy, rigorous relationship where you feel like you can open up to your partner and they're your safe space, and you also feel desirable and wanted, because that's important in a romantic relationship, you tend to share a lot of stuff with them and they get all of your stuff, and then you can be more discerning in private and public. As we've seen Will and Jada's relationship clearly erode to the point where they can't even like fix it publicly and it's all seeping out, he's now wanting to share with us because he's not sharing with her. Like there are certain conversations that you have with your wife that you work through with your tribe, that because his tribe is compromised, now we're getting it in a book. So for me, I just think this is another example of what happens when a man doesn't have a safe space at home. So to me, it all roads lead back to him and Jada, unfortunately, in my mind.
I think Will and Jada need to have dinner with Barack and Michelle and like sit down and figure out how to get some of that, or even Beyonce and Jay-Z. I don't know. It's sad to see it unraveling, because I don't know that we'll see them married forever. I think that when they were together, based on what I've heard around town, they loved each other, but I also think that they have a very certain relationship that gives them both a certain level of cover and comfort. And because they have that, I think that gives them the safety that they both need. But I also think that the world is opening up, and with Red Table Talk, Jada is starting to peel back layers to show us who she really is. And now I don't know who I would see them both with. I mean, Will Smith, I could see him dating. No, I ain't gonna do that.
Me? I mean, I'm available, Will. I'm just saying, if Will Smith,
they gonna stick it out.
I'm gonna just say that God bless them both, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Look, I'm sorry, I'm battling a cold over here. All right. Well, friend to the show, T.S. Madison, she didn't hold back. Recently, she went on The Breakfast Club to talk about her thoughts as a trans woman living in America, and Lil Boosie and Lil Nas X. So she went on The Breakfast Club for her first time, which I believe is long overdue. I'm glad that she got that look. She's been on our show a few times, and we love T.S. Madison. Well, anyway, she went and spoke out about queer phobia in the industry, and during the chat, Boosie's name was brought up in conversation. She went on to talk about her own stuff and her own projects, but she talked about Boosie's double standards and wondered how he could be concerned about the kids when he allowed a grown woman to perform oral sex on the kids. Take a listen.
There is transphobia and homophobia that's really rampant out there. Rampant. And it's rampant out there because, people's spaces are being felt like it's threatened. Like Boosie. Nigga, what is you bothering with Lil Nas X for? What's the problem? Mm-hmm. My thing is, when he said that he's a detriment like to kids and we need to worry about the kids and all this stuff. But I'm like, but you the same man had a overgrown ass woman performing fellatio on your young son. And you didn't see anything wrong with that, but it's make sense to me. I was so confused about the situation. Like, who kids really need to be protected?
I feel like I've seen so many things when I was a kid. That's what's made me accepting of a lot of things now, just because I've seen it. It hasn't made me want to be any way.
Now, Boosie got so mad at T.S. Madison for being on the show talking about him that he lashed out on Twitter. And this is what he had to say. He said, "They still got my name in their mouth about that gay shit, LOL. Charlamagne the God, you part of the problem. Keep egging these people on your show with this, bro. You using your platform to support Nas X and his antics. I see what side you on, rainbow emoji." He said, "Fuck y'all kids, shaking my head dummies." Now, Charlamagne went back to address Boosie on the Breakfast Club after that, and this is what he had to say.
Both side. I'm on the side of blackness. First and foremost, I'm gonna send Boosie healing energy, and I don't even know what I got to do with it because if I'm mistaken, I thought I also said me included when I said we can't stand on that moral high ground as far as pointing at somebody and saying they've been a detriment to kids because they're a detriment to kids because we've all said or done things that have probably influenced kids negatively. I said me included. You know?
Right, and listen, nobody brought Boosie's name up but T.S. Madison. It wasn't like,
T.S. Madison had the
Boosie?
words for Boosie, not me. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm black first, and the Breakfast Club to me has always been a platform for black voices. Same way Boosie can come up here and express himself, T.S. Madison can come up here and express herself.
She had something she wanted to say, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's allowed to do that. And I also feel like it's not, and I saw people saying, you're pushing an agenda. I'm just all about people being comfortable in their skin and having the right to exist and live. That's all. That's the only.
I agree. And shout out to Angela Yee and Charlamagne for allowing T.S. Madison the platform to do that. I think, they've been great to me 4 times I've been on the show. I think 4 times I've been on the show. And they do open it up to everybody to have a fair place. So shout out to them for doing that and standing behind the conversation.
I want to say something about T.S. Madison in particular that made me really, really proud. Not everybody who is part of a minority group likes themselves or is educated. We know plenty of black folks who hate being black and who don't know anything about blackness, but they have a white friend who they're giving passes to say crazy stuff. So just because someone is trans doesn't mean they like themselves as a trans person or they're educated as a trans person. T.S. Madison is one of the few people that I've seen be given this kind of opportunity who clearly is comfortable in her skin and can speak about her community in a way that's educated and intelligent and has some really good analysis. So I'm really, really proud that she was given a chance to speak because there's other people out there, I won't name them, who are trans, who do a detriment to their own community, but you can tell that she's comfortable in her skin. And I hope that more people let her speak for them because she's doing an amazing job. So shout out to her and for Charlamagne and Angela Yee for having that moment.
At this point, I do believe that Boosie needs to be taken off of Twitter. They've already taken him off of Instagram, right? I think they need to remove him for Twitter. I don't know why Twitter's still allowing him to move this hate agenda. I believe there are pockets in the world that have bought into Boosie's bullshit. But I after we saw the video circulate with him saying that he paid a grown woman to give his young kid and nephew fellatio, I mean, that for me was enough. And I think that by allowing him to continue to use these platforms to push a hate agenda is just not fair. I mean, you're bullying a gay man, a young gay man who's very successful. You're bullying you're bullying these hip hop icons, in my opinion, the Breakfast Club, who provide a lot for our culture, into siphoning the voices of people who look and sound like me. I don't know when it ends. And straight people, why are you so threatened by us? We're not going anywhere. You wear our clothes. You let us do your hair. You allow us to help decorate your life, but you just don't want us to be in it. I mean, at some point you have to stop policing the bedrooms of other people and worry about your own. And if that policing is coming from a place of discomfort because you can't handle these spirits that you have in you, these voices that tell you just to go suck a dick or something, you got to understand that that's not our problem. Do not transfer your issues to us. Deal with your internal issues. And the other thing I will also say, because I've been talking to a lot of my straight friends about, some of them wanting to experience things or having thoughts or whatever, let's be very clear. When the conversation starts with, I don't know if I'm having these feelings because I was molested. Molest and rape and being gay or bi-curious are completely separate things. I don't know that there's been a science revealed that there's a direct correlation between having to be molested in order to want to have a gay experience. I always try to open up the conversation about normalizing curiosity and wanting to explore, but I'm not going to push an agenda by telling you what to do. I'm the same person on the show that said Gonzo didn't need to be trans, but also understand why some people like to see inclusion showing up in some of these spaces. But look, I understand people wanting to protect their kids, but I do not understand the double standard of a person saying they want to protect their kids, but at the same time, you let somebody violate yours. So I don't know. I'm confused.
And
I
as
think
a matter
Boosie's
of
just trolling.
yeah, Boosie's trolling, but as a matter of fact, molested men actually often grow up to be hypersexualized, heterosexual, and so it's in the other direction of what people think. I just want to say that as a matter of fact. It doesn't make you more gay. It actually, if you are gay, it puts you more in the closet. And if you're a heterosexual man, it tends to skew the way that you treat women moving forward because you were molested. So it doesn't make you gay, guys. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think Boosie's trolling, but the problem is, and I seen this recently, he has these fans behind him that aren't trolling, that are dead serious. So I'm not gonna say I don't believe Boosie has some hate in his heart for some of the stuff he's saying, but I think overall he's using this opportunity to jump on other people's platforms. Like Lil Nas X has a huge platform. Every time you mention Lil Nas X, you mention Boosie. That works to Boosie's benefit. However, my friend Justin Richburg, he's an artist. He created like a cover art for Lil Nas X and Boosie's like pretend single, and I watched all the hate mail he got. All the "you gonna die, we gonna kill you," and that's where it's really, really problematic. So it's like Boosie, I'm not gonna say I understand what you're doing, but I get what you're doing. That's your hustle. But there's people behind this that's not trolling. There are people that really believe this stuff you're saying about Lil Nas X, and it's violent, and you're putting people at danger. So we all got to just be responsible with these platforms we sit on, because that shit's serious.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, listen, although I don't support Lil Boosie, I'd be open to have a conversation with him, but it would have to be one of which that I think could get us somewhere. And I just don't think with him that he wants to go anywhere other than be hateful. Listen, Nas X, keep doing your thing, and everybody out there continuing to open up these conversations of inclusion. Shout out to T.S. Madison and to people out there with platforms like mine, like the Breakfast Club. Continue to open up spaces for the T.S. Madisons and for the Jason Lees to come on and continue to share their optics of the world that we live in, because it isn't all just the way you see it. I guess we'll just leave now and come back another day. Keep watching the show. Keep sharing it with all your friends. We appreciate all the love. Bye. All right, look, that was a great show. And make sure you keep coming back, because we got all types of amazing interviews and topics that are going to make you go crazy.
That's right. That means like, subscribe, do everything you need to do to make sure you stay up to date with what we got going on.
And ladies, stay tuned in because you know I have your back.
And listen, make sure that you're commenting below, because even though I say I don't read it on the show, that's all I do when it's over. Peace.